Alright, it's recording.
Alright, so I'm going to show you these in, so you have, we'll start, dots, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, double dots on the 12th fret. Everything repeats. Can you see both from here?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Everything you do down here, you can do up here. You can do it other places too. And eventually over time you're going to learn your octaves, but to the main point. So I'm going to do stuff in, first I'm going to do A minor. It's a very common key for blues. So this, there are different ways to do it. And if you see, like this, good shot there? Yeah. So this is an A minor 7. And the only string you're not playing is the A string. And this, it'll naturally be muted by the slant of your middle finger. And so you lay them down on a slight diagonal, tuck this up in here. This is A minor 7. This is a strong chord, and it doesn't take a lot of finger or wrist strength, because really you're just torquing the weights right here. You push down, and it gives you a strong chord. But this is a great chord to know. I do it like this sometimes. Wrap the thumb over it. Get that view. But the box that we're going to concentrate on, the main box for me, it involves all of these notes. And this chord is the closest thing to having that part of the box. So if you, in your mind, you keep this line in your mind, like light it up, visualize a light on it or something. And your pentatonic scale, which you know, and then you throw in that one anyways. And you can like on these strings, you can run all three of those in a row. That doesn't really. If you're doing a run and you want to get more oomph on it. But the basic riffs I'm going to show you first. I'm going to show you the one they had in that book. So I'm using all three fingers to bend the string so that I don't hurt my fingers. And I'm actually tucking the string behind the meat of my finger on the lead finger, so that as I bend it up the neck I get a strong pull without like ripping off the top of my finger. So I'm actually under here, but all three fingers will help me do this. So the one way to do this, the way we'll start with, is you're going to slide, visualizing and knowing your pointer finger is going to be barring this. You're going to slide into it. So you're sliding from one note. There are lots of different ways to get from here to here. There are different ways you can do this, and that all comes in. Lead guitar is just subtle variations on a theme. So you're gonna, on this one, you slide in, and that's, you don't have to hold it up there. But, and once I get, and I know in my mind when I'm playing around on this string, and if I'm not doing too much other busy stuff or notes at the same time, that I'm using all three fingers. So all the different things you can do, and that was just two notes, but there are ways to get in between them. And just quickly, this is why I'm going to edit this down, Beth, because it's going to be rambling. But to get a good vibrato, it's like turning a key. You don't push the string necessarily. You don't have to push up and down. It's almost like you torque your hand, and the way it's sort of like it's not a full bend. It just like, But so you can go. But what I want to show you, if you go over here, we're going to double these notes. So watch my zoom in on the picking, and you're going to see I'm going to strike. And down here on the other end, I'm just. All I'm doing is just playing two notes, and as long as the stuff I'm holding down is some contour of that box, see, I'm holding these down now, and then I'm playing on this string. This is a great bend right here. This is very common, and you visualize the box. So it starts, it's the outside of the box, on the B string, but then you add the note down here, a little diagonal, and this is the bottom of the other box you were talking about. And one of the things we'll do on a future date is how to transition from box to box. You go, and I touch that, and then I slide down, and now my hand's in the new box. And you can hit that'll. And what you do is you learn to do scales. You can make them up. Where you walk up the scale, some of the notes, but you walk up the scale like creatively, bend into this, slide into that, and you can do it very slowly, not even to music. Just keep something in your head, or have just like a basic thing, one chord thing going. We'll have to do some of those. But if this is your box, okay, the rake. You kind of roll the pressure. You're touching the string the whole time, but you roll the pressure, finalizing, because if you want to do it with one finger, you can do it with two, with any, like possibly easier for you if you just hold down the string you're going to end on, the note you're going to end on. Again, you're in the box, this is an A, we're in A, and you just rake across the strings, and you get a percussive sound, you get ring. So you can also do it up this way. The important thing is you don't really want to hold those down, or if you do, you get a different kind of sound. You get, or you can do one then the other, so you can be like, or whatever you're going to do, but you can rake into any note. I do it because it's like, I think of it like someone who has like a smoky voice, you know, or like Otis Redding type singer, that their voice cracks, you know, when they sing. Their voice, the guy from the Four Tops, when they sing, they have like a, not a squeak, but like a crack in their voice, like this thing, this wonderful edge. And raking into your notes is one way to give you that texture. You can put some attitude in there. Rakes and unison bends, and then the two-string chunky stuff I'm showing you. So those basic things would take, you'd be like, what the hell am I playing? This is great. So unison bend, usually one note stays the same, and then a lower note is bent into it. So if you see, I'm using two fingers, but if I'm bending this way, I go under the here. So I don't do my callus. But if I'm bending this way, I use more the top of the finger. It just seems to work better, so you don't bunch up and inadvertently hold down the lower strings and get that sound that you don't want. So often when I'm bending, like if you see me bending the G string here, bending it this way, this finger is actually touching the E string so it doesn't ring out. And these strings are muted by the fact that I'm pushing into them but not holding them down. They're hitting the top of my finger here. That might be a bit, you know, but you get the idea. You can watch this a couple times. So if I do some unison bends, like I can go here, then I can and then watch this hand. I'm gonna do the two-string technique, the Jason string technique, while I'm doing some unison bends and just walking my fingers around the scale. But you see. And if you look, you see my finger is muting the thin strings by being, my pick is already down, so that I have absolute timing control for that first thing, but it's angled and my finger is muting the strings. So I can have these held and ready, strong. I can get these in position without the strings ringing out quietly, because when you have distortion or sustain, you know how that goes. So that's also my mute. I just pop. I don't know how, if your finger is wide enough to do it, or if you really feel like doing that kind of. You can use the top of it too, possibly, or use part of your hand. But when you're doing lead guitar, you want to sculpt the sound front and back. So you can mute stuff like that with the top of your hand here while you're still bent, and then just let go after the strings doesn't make a sound. It gives you a certain tightness, and that's what I do for like effect. You'd be like. I'm only going to do that once because I don't want to jack up your pick. But you can do that for like, and people are just like, whoa, what did you just do? But really all you're just doing is being percussive. So I'm gonna rake, into a unison bend, and I'm using, and I can't stress this enough, I am using 2 fingers to do this bend, and I do not hold them down tightly until I'm actually ready to do it. As soon as I'm done doing it, I let them go so I don't leave an imprint on my finger and hurt my fingers. So that's where the right hand comes in if you want to get the angle shot. And I can let go. And if you time it right, then you let go right as you touch it, and then your fingers hardly even get, you know. You don't have to push down very hard because you're using 2 fingers, so it's like it's not quite half the pressure, but like it's much less. So another thing you can do, you can rake into a unison bend. You have this extra finger here. You can, if you feel like it, you can rather than double finger this, you can actually just touch these strings in, like, or, but it'll probably hurt your finger, and I don't do that. It's just something you can do. You can like combine these things, playing around, and just express yourself more and more. And if you're singing your notes, then you'll never run out of things to do. You'll be like, do, 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 do. And you can sort of like, oh, do 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 do. And you can scat and just be silly, but when you do it on a guitar, it doesn't sound silly. It sounds awesome because you're not doing it with your face. You know, it's not like you're not countering any natural facial expression. Anyway, so you can rake into like a tap. You can, and that was a lot of sound just to like get to a note. I could just go, but you know, if you hear this and then you hear. And so what I'm doing, I'm raking into it, so I'm just touching these strings, and I'm going to use this finger for a tap, but while I'm raking it, I don't need it. So as I rake, and I'm going to tap this, and I can let go of this finger. It's just, so it's that kind of motion, but with the added rake. And you can use your middle finger or the other one. I like to use the middle finger. It's just a bigger finger, so I get right on the top too. So this is kind of feels like angled and flat, this part of your hand here, but then as soon as I come out of the rake, it's just all like, try and come on down on the top and just give it a little, and you can get used to that just like any kind of like, the way you turn a key in a lock, you just get used to doing certain motions with your fingers, and it's all coordinated. And just be, the best thing you can do with lead is learn to be heavy-handed, not with your picking, but with your muting in your other hand. Because the more you mute, well, without muting, it's like someone who has like a drawl, a very, very slow drawl, and everything's like, well, that's not, you know, that in most contexts that doesn't work well, you know, even with sustained effects. So anyway, you should start a new file, pause it, so it's not too big, you know.